paragraph for you to reflect on, use elements of, if you wish, to give you a sense of how to go about composing your own paragraphs. So I'm going to read it through, and as I do, I'm going to stop and I'm going to comment on various components of its construction. So Williams uses an array of visual and oral elements as a means for conveying Blanche's deteriorating mental state, as well as for critiquing both the nature of illusions and the problematic realities that can lead to their creation. So my topic sentence, which is that first sentence, has a number of components to it. For a start, I identify this idea of an array of features. I think that's important because I am going to mention a number of them. I do say visual and I do say oral, which is important because I need to make sure in my paragraph I address both. This is the phrase that effectively links my paragraph, that links the two things that have to occur in a paragraph together. This idea of there's a method, a how, and a result. Now, in my case, the result is quite long. And I'd like to just draw your attention to a few different things here. For a start, a word like deteriorating, that's quite important because I'm actually describing her mental state. Here, for example, the nature of illusions. I haven't said exactly what I'm going to say about the nature of illusions yet because it's quite complex. I've left that for a bit. But I do want to suggest that the reason for illusions to be created is linked to the problems we experience in reality. A word like when is another kind of linking word. It's a word that assists me in moving from the means to the method. She makes it quite clear that she cannot bear a bare bulb. There's a quote, but it's a nice short one. You know, quotes don't have to be long. Why put in a long quote if you can do what you need to do with a short quote? This is both literal and figurative. Again, this is a phrase here that speaks to method and result. Again, the virtues of obfuscation and even outright deception. And covers lights as a matter of priority, most notably with a paper lantern, first hung for her by Mitch and then torn down by him after Stanley exposes Blanche as a fraudulent liar. The whole point of a phrase like this one here is to try and be quite erudite and quite precise. This sense here that what I'm doing is I'm not simply describing what has happened, but I'm adding a degree of why it happens by noting this detail here. And as Blanche's already tenuous grip on reality, a product of both trauma and guilt, erodes further, the music of the Varsuviana polka is used to link the death of Alan Gray that haunts her to the death of the illusion that she has striven so hard to maintain. Tenuous is another example of the use of an adjective to make a point. This sense of she's got trauma and guilt. The use of these little dashes here is the way you can drop a component into a sentence that effectively grammatically pauses it and allows a long sentence to have grammatical coherence. So really what this is really saying is that the music here, this is my evidence, really quite important. This is another example of an evidence. It's not a quote, but it's doing the same job as a quote. Now I'm switching across. I did say that I was going to use visual and oral. So that's that's oral. This is visual. There's more visual as well. When Stanley finally breaks her completely through an act of rape, she is pushed into a mental nightmare that is encapsulated in lurid reflections and shadows of a grotesque and menacing form. Yes, I've used a quote, but this quote is from a stage directions, and that's fine. Now I'm going to delete that word. I don't think I need it. Blanche is pushed into a likely irreparably... I don't like the grammar of that. Blanche is pushed into what is likely to be. This is why you reread, things get better. Blanche is pushed into what is likely to be an irreparably damaged mental state by Stanley's grotesque and menacing actions. Did you see that I have been, clever? I've used the same language that is used in Williams's stage direction to describe what Stanley is doing. So I'm further underscoring, hence my underline, that there is a strong connection between the method here and what it's trying to achieve. As such, this is moving towards a conclusive point. This is the result of it. You don't have stuff like this, you don't get anywhere. The virtues of illusion are questioned in a somewhat open-ended manner. Yes, they are. I'm not going to simplify this down to an extent that it pretends the play is offering a clear or unequivocal point of view or opinion when it isn't. Blanche's illusion. Now, I've earned the right just to talk about the text because I've already discussed a good deal of what is in it. So, Blanche's illusions were deceptive in intent, but not malicious, while Stanley's forceful destruction of them is undeniably so. Furthermore, Blanche's reality was so bleak in terms of opportunities and outcomes, at least as she saw it. This goes some way to explaining and possibly even justifying their existence. So I am arguing my understanding of what Williams is saying. I have to use my own words, I have to use my own opinions, but I've talked about the fact that this seems to be what Williams has created. It is my job now to produce my meaning in accord with what I have suggested he has done. So that's why my paragraph is moving the way that it does. And I want to continue my thoughts a little bit, which is why I used that word there, furthermore. But, so I'm just going to swing in a slightly different direction, which is why I want to use like a word like but. Given Stanley's determination to expose and humiliate her make-believe, nicked from the song, therefore another quote, her make-believe dream is torn to pieces, just like the lantern, only for another illusion to take its place. But this time it's Stella's, and the illusion is far darker in nature. So I've suggested where this is going. How much I'll talk about it? Well, that kind of depends, really, on what I want my next paragraph to be. What I haven't done is link this explicitly to an essay topic. Maybe you can think how this could be considered in any way a critique of the world. Maybe you could think about what, if anything, it is offering in regards to perceptions of strength and weakness. Maybe you can think a little bit about this idea of reflecting on the effects. What, if any, elements of human nature are here? So I haven't pulled it back to a topic because I'm not writing the essay for you. I'm producing a paragraph of analysis to give you an understanding into how you write a paragraph of analysis on Streetcar Named Desire. So, there you go. These are your resources. Use them well.